What's up, guys? Jordan here, and boy, do I have something special for you today. Last week, I co-hosted a training in one of our private community groups with my friend Robb Quinn, who is the owner of the sales agency. Now, these guys are doing multiple six figures on a monthly basis. They teach coaches, consultants, and agency owners how to improve their sales systems. I wanted to get him on to share his insight on how they're signing such an absurd amount of meetings for their agency at the moment. And he did just that. This thing was insanely valuable. And Robb was saying he wanted to charge for this recording. People have been searching for it ever since. But yesterday, I finally convinced him that we should upload this onto YouTube so you lovely people can use all of this information. So grab a pen and paper and enjoy today's training. Okay, sweet guys, welcome. I mean, there's going to be more people joining over the next a few minutes, I'm sure, and over the next 10, 20 years, people see this. But we can't wait to get stuck in. So welcome. If this is going to be the first ever collaborative live training you would have seen with myself. I want to introduce you to Robb and his team. Robb is the owner of the sales agency. They're absolutely smashing it in the online agency space. They specialize in teaching people how to build appointment setting teams and how to scale up any service-based business. That's how I know Robb personally. We've kind of met within the space. Robb's helped me build an appointment setting team. We're doing that as an ongoing thing at the moment. And I wanted to get him on here because I know he could share so much value, and his team, of course, to all of you guys about what they're doing, a different perspective on sales and signing up clients. And so, to be honest, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to enjoy a glass of wine, I'm going to kick back and enjoy this training and absorb this stuff for myself today as well. And all of you lovely people can enjoy it with me. So, Robb, I'll let you take over.
Yeah, rock and roll, man. Wow, that was an amazing intro. So we just have you do that for us all the time, anywhere we go. Really good. So yeah, super pumped for this, guys. So before we get started, the only thing that we ask is everyone turn their camera on, put some clothes on, get a camera on. We're all going to bond here together. And you know, the way you show up for something is the way everyone's going to show up for you. So let's knock that. Oh, so I'm seeing all the pretty faces. Let's go. All right, guys, let me share my screen here without further ado. We're going to be sharing screen. We're going to go through a workshop format. You're going to be hearing a lot from Kevin and Frank. So Frank's our COO at the sales agency, and Kevin's our sales manager. When Frank and Kevin both started with us, to give you guys a little background, both Frank and Kevin started as just setting appointments, right? And we're all familiar with like what appointment setting is, right? Where you just, I'm assuming so, yeah, outbound, book a call. Okay, cool, assume so. So Frank and Kevin both started with us just setting sales calls before they're in the roles they're in now. Frank's been with us about over a year and a half now. Kevin's been with us nearly a year now. When Frank first started with us, he started booking over 200 sales calls per month, just making phone calls and messaging people. And we thought that was crazy, right? Because it is kind of crazy when you look at it. And those are sales calls, not triages, right? So you get on call with somebody that's qualified. It's pretty nasty, right? And we're like, but can we duplicate it? So then we ended up bringing on Kevin. And we're like, all right, let's try this out. Month one, we're going to go over this, but Kevin booked 97 sales calls. And Kevin, what was your best month and when was that?
So my best month before we started this was, this JV actually was 237 in March. And then in April, I think it was 243, but I'll have to pull up the tracker for that. But I did beat it the very next month as well. So that was really fun.
Yeah. And again, those are sales calls, right? So we know the number one thing that you need in order to get the ball rolling is you got to have a full calendar, right? And then if you have a full calendar, how can you get more of those people to show up? Those are the two things that you need. And then if you can have a full calendar, most of them show up, you trip your way into revenue. You don't even have to be good at sales, and then obviously get good at sales and you make more money. That's how the game goes. So that's what we're going to dive into today. So let's dive into this. I'm going to share my screen with you all. This one real quick. This is a workshop format. Okay. So it's quite a bit different from a webinar. We're actually going to be having participants step in during this. We're building things out with you guys during this presentation. So you guys are going to see us building out sales scripts, or excuse me, appointment setting scripts for you guys during this, our no-show scripts, how we actually do everything while we're on this workshop. So we're going to do that with you guys. So it's going to be very different from a webinar format. So cool. Without further ado, then let's run the play. So here's what we're going to cover. How we set 5 to 15 sales calls per day per appointment setter. So essentially that's going to be anywhere from like 100 plus appointments per month. And that's qualified sales calls. We're going to show you how to reduce the no-show rate. The big problem right now with running ads straight to a book call. So there's anybody here running ads, I'm sure you can resonate with this, but the problem is the costs are going up, the show rates are going down, and the sales reps are getting pissed, right? Because they're like, you got me a full calendar, but they aren't showing up. That's a big problem right now in the industry. So this is how we've been able to hedge against that and fix it. We're going to show you how to navigate a sales call to sell high ticket contracts. I don't know if anyone even knows who we are. We're going to introduce ourselves in a sec. George just introduced us, but on my YouTube channel, I have like live closing deals for $36,000 and more. One call closes and I offer them 3 months and they ask me for 12. That's our reversal method. So I'm going to show you guys how we structure that. You can sell it for coaching or service based. I know everyone here seems to be an agency, so it's perfect. And then how to leverage that framework. So the goal here is to create unstoppable consistency. So you're going to hear Frank say this, odds are more times than once, but you got to get frequent before you get good. If you can't get frequent, there's not enough consistency to even give yourself the chance to be good. Right? So that's what we're focusing on here. So anyway, put your phones down, get out your notepad. You don't need to throw it out the window, but obviously I'm going to tell you how to live your life. And then go grab a drink. Now's the time to do it. In fact, if you haven't gotten it yet, it's probably too late because we're getting started. Here we go. So first thing we want to cover is tracking. This is boring as hell. I'm just going to be real with you guys. It's hella boring when you talk about tracking and managing a pipeline. But if you don't get good at it, you're going to constantly be losing money because you get in a bunch of leads. You bust your ass to get the leads, but then those leads never get nurtured and convert. So you're constantly busting your ass to get a new conversation. And then at the end of the day, like you're constantly finding new stuff. And the easiest lead to get converted is somebody you've already talked to. I know it sounds like common sense, but most people don't follow up on the leads. So it sounds like common sense, but most people don't embrace it. So these are Kevin's stats from his very first month with us in December of 2020. So Kevin, you want to break this down, man, and what the important factors are here?
Yep. So this was actually my second month. But basically, I'm gonna go over every category and why it's so important to track each and every piece here. Now it's like we track a lot more now because there are other parts that we have to track just so we can see the gaps in the business. But I'll go over each and every category. Basically, the follow-up outreach is anyone that I follow up with because, you know, maybe they didn't respond to me or they saw my message and they ghosted me, but I know they're a good lead. What this category tells me is, let's say you wake up every day and you have no one to follow up with. That means you did not set yourself up for the very next day. And we have a saying here at the company where, you know, today is not a success. Like you can close 5 deals today, but if you don't set yourself up for tomorrow, that today was not a successful day. So you have to make sure that you set yourself up for tomorrow. So if you have people to follow up with every single day in the morning, this is how I get like head start my day. Like I have 20, 30 people that I follow up with, and all I do is quickly book the appointment. I start my day off really quickly, right? And then the new outreach, the inputs. This is what we actually track. Like this is so important, right? So we don't care. I mean, we do care about the outputs, but the inputs is more important because that's what creates the output, right? You control the input and the outcome will come as long as you stay consistent and you continuously put the work in, right? So the inputs, I put in around 250 a day. That stays consistent till now too, except I book more now because I've refined my skills. But that comes out to be about 5,000 total inputs in a single month. Triage calls, those are going to be calls that I use to basically set the expectation and make sure that they're prepared for the sales call. So we'll kind of go over this later in the presentation, but triage calls or discovery calls, whatever you want to call them, they're only a tool. You only use them when you have to. Sometimes there might be a lead where you can just push on straight to a sales call. And then sales calls offered, that's pretty self-explanatory. That's the amount of sales calls I booked. And then this is why it's so important to track, right? If you see gaps, so if you don't see gaps in your business and you're not running fast enough, so you should always be wanting to improve some part of the business. So for me, if I saw that I had, let's say, 4 triage calls booked in a day, but I only booked 4 sales calls, what that tells me is like, but let's say the 4 sales calls that I booked wasn't from the triage calls because they're not converting. What that tells me is that my triage calls are not good enough to convert into sales calls, right? Once again, so if I do not track those things, it is like I have no clarity on why my triage calls do not convert to sales calls. And if you're not sitting above like 50%, then there's something wrong, which means that you're not booking the qualified person. I mean, you should have never booked them for your triage call in the beginning. I mean, if at least 50% of your triage calls do not convert to sales calls, there's something going wrong. Obviously, like follow-ups, you have to track as well. So, I mean, this basically tells you that you're setting yourself up for the very next day. And then, yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome. And guys, I want to share this one last metric with you. See this booking percentage down at the bottom, 3.87. So who here has gotten a message before in the DMs and it was like a long blocking message, basically explaining the whole life story, and it's like pitching you? Anyone else gotten one of those? Can we put a 3 in the chat? If anyone's gotten one of these long ass blocky messages that's saying like, we have the solution, want to work with us? Want to get your Instagram account verified? No, kids. So it's like everyone else get those? Yo, they don't convert very well. That's why people believe outbound doesn't work. They just believe it doesn't work. And they believe cold calls don't work because they're doing it wrong, right? Typically, this booking percentage on cold for any normal type of outreach is 1.5%. That's pretty average, okay? So what we've been able to do here with the change in messaging is almost triple that. So you could take all these same stats, but if you do it the wrong way, you're going to book a third of this. You would have only booked a third of this, right? So I just want to put that into perspective for you. So Frank, Kev, one of you guys want to cover this? Why do we put everybody in a CRM on top of having to track our activity? Why do we use a CRM? What's the point?
Go ahead, Kev.
Frank, you can go first. I feel like I just went off, so you got to take this one.
Honestly, the reason why we use a CRM is for the life cycle of the buyer, right? So you might reach out to somebody one day and they're like, F off, dude, like I'm not interested, right? Like that happens all the time, but that doesn't mean that they won't be interested later down the line, right? So we use a CRM to track the leads, the life cycle of leads when we first reached out to them, and really squeeze the juice out of every single lead, especially if you're running like paid traffic. Like you have their number, their email. We do reactivation campaigns like every week. And it's crazy because like some people who closed in our program last week, they originally came into our funnel last April. And we hit them up like every week. But then one of the times you hit them up, they come in, that's $2,000 in your pocket. Like, why would you miss out on that if you had to, right? So that's Go High Level. That's the name of that CRM. So we track everything because everyone's at a different buying cycle stage, and we want everybody to squeeze. We want to squeeze the juice out of every single lead we get because we're putting time in to get those leads. So it makes sense.
Yeah. The only thing you can be guaranteed in sales, just like in life, death, and taxes, in sales, the only thing you're guaranteed is that if somebody doesn't buy from you today, they're buying from somebody. The only difference is it going to be you or not? That's the only guarantee in sales.
Yeah. If you get somebody on a sales call, especially if you get them on a sales call and they don't close, I promise you, if they don't buy from you, they're going to buy from somebody else because they wouldn't have hopped on that call in the first place if they weren't interested. So
and worse, you did the legwork.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine that? Frank, tell them about it, dude. Let them know.
Yeah, you did the dirty work, especially like a lot of you guys probably have heard anybody heard people talking about, oh, don't go into real estate niche, it's saturated. Don't go into XYZ niche, it's saturated. Like that's actually a good thing because what they mean by saturated is like all the big players are starting to go into those spaces, which means all the big players are starting to pour tons of ad spend into those spaces, which means that the business owners are trying to get hit with ads every single day they wake up, which means they're getting more and more and more versed to seeing this stuff working through ads. So if you reach out to them, you might get lucky and they're already bought into the idea of it. So they're just doing the dirty work for you. So don't worry about anything being saturated, but that just goes hand in hand with the dirty work.
Yeah, we personally love bloody red oceans versus people, the whole blue ocean, only because we love blue oceans because it's new, right? But when you deal with a red ocean, there's already buyers there. The only difference is, can you stand out? The buyers are already chilling. So we enjoy it. Okay, cool. Next, we ready to roll? Frank, do you want to add anything? Kevin, I can see you want to say something so bad.
Yeah. So one thing that I just want to add is people have this idea that if you want more leads, you have to put in more money or time into it. But the thing is, if you have them all compiled in a CRM, or let's say you took a discovery call that didn't transition, or you took a sales call that didn't close, you put in the work to get them in your CRM. And like Frank said, all it takes is a simple reactivation campaign, get them back on a sales call, and now you get a second at bat without having to spend any more money to get another qualified lead. They already know you, so it's a warmer lead. They hop back on the phone with you for a reason. So now you have a second chance at bat to sell them again.
How about this? Can we just get crazy on this, Kevin, Frank? Can we do a reactivation campaign?
Yeah, we could.
Do we want to get weird?
Yeah, let's run it. I'll actually we're going to run a reactivation campaign for our leads after we do all that's actually a fantastic idea. I'm going to run it right now, Rob, but keep going with this and then we'll do everything like normal. And if we have time at the end, we'll make the calls so they can watch.
So we'll give you guys some context with this. We ran this with, was it like 43 of our clients or so at our last live event? With 43 clients, we did what we're about to do for you guys here today. And we booked, how many ended up booking? It was like 103 or something like that, 100 and something like that.
Yeah. In a span of 3 days.
Yeah, 103 sales calls in 3 days with the 43 people in the room. So we're going to do that for you guys here on this call, here on this workshop. So Frank will get that all set up and we'll shoot you the message to do. Is that something, Frank, you want to get down? Just to get weird?
Yeah. I'm doing it right now.
Oh, let's go. And we'll give you guys the message so y'all can do it too. Let's see how many sales calls we can book while we're on the workshop. Look, we're just going to cover some basics real quick. Just profile funnels. Who here does not know what a profile funnel is? We get a 2 in the chat just so we have an idea. Okay, we're just cover this super quick. Can you guys still see my screen? I think so.
Yes.
Cool. We're just going to show you the basic elements of profile funnel and why it's important. Move this. Maybe. Loading. How's the weather? Okay, cool. So check this out. So a profile funnels, these are the basic elements, right? You need to have something up top that explains what it is, like who you are. Usually it's a call to action, but now we would just have branding here, but you click to join and then it sends into whatever your CTA is. In this case, we have a Facebook group, or you could have a VSL, right? That they could look at and download. And then you also have the same thing over here in your feature photo, same exact copy, same exact place to send them. And then right here, you're going to have the headline of what you do. And then your actual page is like a sales page. So you want to have more times than not the things that you value on here, a lot of client stuff, right? A lot of client wins, and then a little bit about you. So we got Frank and Kevin here, YouTube, right? More Frank and Kevin live with our team. So a lot of this is like our team. I met up with Jordan Belfort last week, and then like, it's all about company stuff. And then up top, I saw a little bit about family. So like, these are my kids, this is my place. So, and then motivational stuff. The reason why you want to have this is because when you do outbound, people are going to come creepy. That's just the nature of the internet. They want to know, like, is this person real or not? Is this person fake? Like, who is this? So that's why you have all this stuff here. Frank, Kev, would you guys add anything else to this before we move on?
No, I'm just going to say what Frank usually says. And like, this is actually really important because like the moment you send a DM to someone, the first thing they do is check out your profile. But at the same time, Frank booked over 200 sales calls in a month with a baby picture as his background. So like, don't take it lightly. It's definitely important, but not to a degree where like you got to, spend money or do anything crazy to try to make it optimized.
Yeah. So to add to that, Kevin's 100% right. So I used to book appointments with a baby picture as my background. Reason being is like, yeah, profile funnels are very, very useful. But if you do it the wrong way and you say too much, and they feel like they know everything about you before they ever have a chance to respond to your message or talk to you, and they feel like they know why you're reaching out, they're most likely going to ghost you, especially if there's no need for it, right? So you could shoot yourself in the foot if it's designed the wrong way. That's just something to keep in mind. The reason why people ghost you, and I'll reiterate this later on. The reason why people ghost you is because they feel like they know everything you have to say, or they feel like they know what you're going to say next for the most part. So we want to keep them guessing and keep them curious. So there's ways to do that, which we'll get into, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just seeing 198 people on here. I want to see if we can book 200 sales calls. This would be very, very exciting. So I'm just fired up about that. But yes, everything Frank said. Yes. So, dude, Frank, since you're on a roll right now, man, can you go over the methodology here? How do most people see outbound messaging, and how do we do the outbound messaging? Like, what really makes it different?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we'll start from the top. I always preach that, like, especially if you guys are selling a marketing offer, like we're selling digital marketing, which means in hindsight, we're selling people a service that's just going to get them more business at the end of the day, or else they shouldn't be paying us. Right. So I always say, like, if you're selling a marketing offer, everybody's interested. It just comes down to the approach. So if you're getting F-offs, you're getting no's, you probably approach the conversation the wrong way. So that's what I want to preface this with. So you should have full confidence. Like, all you're doing is reaching out to people saying, hey, I want to make you more money. So if you do that the wrong way, boom, probably going to get an F-off. So we're going to talk about how to do it the right way, or attempt to do it at the right way. Because at the end of the day, if it's cold outreach, if it's organic outreach, right? Like, you have to realize you can send out 100 messages that say, hey man, yo, Rob, I want to give you $1 million. Like, what's your best number to reach you at? You're going to get like 50% people saying F off. That's just the way cold outreach goes in the world that we are in today. But the other 50% we want to be able to convert on. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Cool. So let's dive into it. So I mean, you touched on this earlier, Rob, a little bit, but like most people view messaging, and a lot of you guys probably do this, and there's nothing wrong with it because you wouldn't know any better if we didn't go over this. It's not the end of the world. It works sometimes. Is most people will send out like cold outreach. They'll send out big, long, spammy messages, or they'll send out like Loom videos of like auditing websites and all that stuff right off the bat and just rip it into the DM. And then you guys probably get them yourself, big, long paragraphs of people pitching you. I never even read them. I usually just exit out, go to the next thing. So we kind of view messaging the opposite of that. Like, again, to reiterate, like the reason why people ghost you is they feel like they know everything you have to say, so there's no reason to answer. So the way we look at the messaging is I kind of treat it like a funnel, right? So the first step of every single time I'm doing a cold outreach is I need to get a response. I need to get them to answer my message and engage in conversation with me, because once they do that, then the game's on. I can take them through a framework, like a very, very well thought out framework. So I can see where in the framework they stop answering me or tell me to F off. And then I know to change that part of the framework because it didn't resonate with them. And this gives me like immediate control over my cold outreach so I can see where it's going wrong and where it's working. You want to double down on and we're going to give you guys the scripts too. So if this is making any sort of sense, put a 1 in the chat because we're going to give you the scripts. But we want to get a response. Then we take them through a framework. We see where it's working, where it's not working, double down on what is working. I love the ones. Now let's drop a 2 for fun. I'm just kidding. And then whatever's
Frank
not
loves
working,
the power.
yeah, whatever's not working, stop doing. All right, cool. So, with that being said, before we do the custom scripts, like we really, like, yeah, we can give you the scripts, and we're going to, but at the end of the day, it is a script. It's a framework. It's not meant to be literally. It would work if you copy and pasted it, but it's not meant to be copy and pasted. The reason why we book so many appointments organically is because we treat it like a conversation. Like I'm talking to my buddy next to me, and when I'm messaging somebody, I'm going to treat it like that, like an authentic, like casual conversation. So instead of copying and pasting every piece of the framework, I'm going to add words like, okay, maybe, like almost act disinterested and completely detached from the conversation. Because the more disinterested you are, it's like when you're talking to a girl, if you're a guy, the more disinterested you are. This is not personal. The more disinterested you are and you lean out of the conversation, the more they'll tend to lean in, right? That's just the way people communicate. So we try to do that when we're doing our messaging. Guys,
and you have to, to add to what Frank said, even if you go up to anybody in a line, most people have these big blocking messages they send in text, and they're just like, hey, I can do this, this, and this. Do you want it? That's like walking up to somebody that you find interesting in a line and you want to introduce yourself. And you're like, hey, my name's Frank DeMeo. I am this tall. I'm looking for a long-term relationship. I want this many kids and like this, and that. It's like, do you want to get married? And that's your very first point of communication.
Yeah.
So when you're sending a message, consider that. That's actually what you're doing.
Yeah. And we're not going to have time to get into too much of this, but like if you guys get really fancy with it, the second they raise their hand and show the littlest bit of interest, so they could ask you like, well, how much does it cost, right? Then you control that conversation. If they show any sort of interest, then now the conversation flips to you have to try to disqualify them, and they're just going to constantly try to qualify themselves to you, and then that's when you get really, really good. But it doesn't matter. We're going to give you the scripts. You guys will get used to it yourself doing this stuff. So let's run.
Cool. You ready to roll? You want to do it?
Yeah. So before we do the scripts, because I do have a bunch of scripts, I was reading the chat before. I'll do an e-com script. I'm going to do a remodeling script, and I'll throw like a real estate in there, and we'll throw them to you guys. You guys can play with them. I already have them built out, so we're just going to review them. And I'll say why we have it that way. Then I'm going to show you guys how to find the people to message on LinkedIn and Facebook, because we got some secret ways to do it. Just don't share it with anybody else. And then the reactivation thing I'm thinking about, Rob, it's going to be complicated. How many of you guys use Go High Level and have like numbers inside of a Go High Level? Drop them 1 in the chat, maybe. If you don't, like, it's no worries. We can just do the one for us and they can just copy it because they're going to have this recording. So, I mean,
yeah.
It might be too hard to do 200 of them at the same time. I don't know.
Imagine a lot of people using Pipedrive if they're people who have gone through the academy.
Yeah, there's nothing against Pipedrive. Pipedrive's awesome. The only thing with the high level, and I could be wrong, actually, Jordan, if you want to correct me, can you do text and calls through Pipedrive or no?
You can, yeah. I don't know what they charge for. I mean, we used Active Campaign to do like calls and text, but by all means, guys, if you're not getting on with Pipedrive, go a high level. I'm actually going to test out Go High Level myself because I'm always testing out different softwares. So by all means, you should jump into this and do that.
Sweet. We'll just go through.
Either way, it's all this. Like, go ahead.
I'm going crazy.
Go crazy, bro. Let's go.
Let's just do the normal stuff, Rob, and then we'll worry about the reactivation after.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and it doesn't matter what platform you use, guys, at all, right? At the end of the day, we just need you to be able to send out a text blast or an email blast with what we're about to show you. And honestly, what you're going to see here, if you're anything like me, like when I met Frank, Frank used to listen to my sales calls, and he's like constructed these scripts based on my sales calls and made it sound more human. So when you guys see what's on these scripts, you're probably going to say to yourself, that wouldn't work for my niche. I'm going to just give you guys some context. Not only is it executed in all the different niches with players in the game that everyone here would be familiar with, but I'm going to give you a really random one. We had somebody in the fertility niche who they help people get pregnant in the fertility niche. And she just wanted to prove us wrong because she's like, there's no way my audience, bunch of females, is going to resonate with this. No way. So she did it just to prove us wrong and booked 23 sales calls in 3 days. So I promise you, just put your trust in the process and this process will be good to you. We ready to go?
Cool. I have a bunch of scripts, so I'm just going to fly through them, then we'll give them to you guys. Just message Kevin on Facebook, and Kevin will drop them. We're going to give you guys a bunch of stuff. I hope that we'll go through it all. We're going to give you guys like the scripts. We're going to give you guys the discovery call framework when you're taking that first initial call, like the intro call, whatever you guys call it, the one that we would use, and a video on how to do that. And we're going to give you guys objection handling, because the biggest thing is once they raise their hand and they show some sort of interest, you have to know how to handle the objection so you don't talk yourself out of the deal. And I mean objection handling in Messenger. So when you're getting the DMs and you get objections via DMs, even like I'm not interested, how to handle all those. So we'll give you all that stuff and we'll go crazy. All right, let me share my screen.
Oh, cool. Let's go. Yeah, this is going to be awesome, guys. It's going to blow your mind. Let's go. Is anyone fired up right now? Can we get a 5? So this is about to get weird. Now we're done through all the boring stuff. You just had to know who we were. Now we're done with the boring stuff. Let's go.
I actually sent out a reactivation text. We got a bunch of responses. We'll do that later. But
my God,
we're gonna do a remodeling script first. We'll do 2 remodeling scripts just because I have it in front of me. Then I'll do, so this is one of them, and then I'll do a real estate. Then I'll do an e-com. So a bunch of e-com in here. The e-com one's actually nasty. A bunch of our clients used it, and one of them booked like 12 calls in 2 days on Instagram, cold DMs. But anyway, so I'm gonna show you guys 2 scripts on these remodeling stuff. You might look at these scripts and say they're not gonna work. They promise you they will. Just go try them out. Again, we're using the methodology of I need to get a response, take them through a framework, see where they fall off, get them onto a call, or at least get an objection so I can handle the objection the right way. That's my goal, right? So I'll open up and I'll show you guys how to find the people after the scripts. That's even better than this because that's the hardest thing in the world.
Oh, it's going to blow your mind.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so good.
So, okay, so my first message, and there's so many different variations of this. This is just one of the examples. The other one's different too. The first example I have here is I'll open up, instead of pitching, my first message is, hey name, so whatever their name is. I could be way off here, but you guys cover the blank area, right? So let's say they're from like Long Island, New York, right? Or let's say they're from, I mean, where it's like like Kansas City. The key here is you want to use casual language. So first off, they're going to respond to this because they don't know why you're asking, but you want to make sure you even use a little bit more sauce. And instead of saying like copy and paste the town they're from, say like South Kansas City or something like that, like really casual language. It makes it feel like you've been there before, and they're going to resonate. They're going to respond. It already puts you in a different frame than a big, long, pitchy message, right? So boom, we get a response. Say, yeah, what's up, man? How could I help? We go into the next piece here. We want to get another yes. We want to get another response before we go into like the pitchy type message. So like South Florida, let's go, Jeremy. I love that, South Florida. So the next message here is perfect. So you guys do. So then we're going to ask them just a direct question. We like to assume something so people come back and correct you. That's just something I've always done when I've been appointment setting and talking to people. Is if you leave it really open-ended, they kind of ghost you. But if you assume something, people love to correct you. So we go, thought so, man. It makes sense. Like, do you guys do custom remodels too, or just mostly repair work? And at this point, they're always going to come back and be like, because this is a high-ticket job. They're going to be like, yeah, absolutely, we do custom remodels. Like, how could we help? Whatever. Now we're 2 messages in. They're engaged in conversation. So I know if I send this pitchy type message and they ghost it, it was this message that lost them. And I already can control that and kind of rework this message and maybe reword it so it works next time. Cool. So like they say, yeah, we do remodels too. How can we help you? I'll say, perfect, man. Ran into an issue last week. Just needed a shop over in South Florida to work with. If we could send people a separate message, really casual, if we could send people over your way looking for remodels, would that be helpful or not really? Really, really passive way to kind of stick your toes in the water and just see if they're looking for more work, right? Let's say they say yes. We'll say, cool, man. And we're going to go, this variation will go right for the call, like very little qualifying, because we'll just qualify them on the discovery call. And I'll give you guys that script right here. But they'll be like, cool, man, what time works best tomorrow? So we can talk about how we could send over some more work, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, you don't have to frame this too well. They'll give you the time. Really casual. Remodelers are very like casual, rugged guys, like just like all contractors, roofers. So they're really quick. Just get them on the phone. They're always open about talking more work. Boom, great way to book the appointment for a quick discovery call. Then I want to go into some. So this one works really, really well. I'm going to go into the second script here. This one is nasty. I just put this together last week and I haven't missed yet. Or Eric's been using it. I mean, obviously he's got a couple notes, but it's been working really, really well. Same intro message. Hey, could be way off. You cover blank area. It's so easy. People always answer it. Next thing, perfect. You guys do custom remodels too, or just repairs? They answer it. They do say they answer what they type of work they do. And then boom, this one's fun because we don't ask the question if they're looking for more work. We just kind of try to disqualify them and ask them how big their team is. And they always want to qualify us and tell them, no, we could take on more work, man, every single time. So we go, perfect, ran into an issue last week. By the way, the issue you run into, if you're a marketer, you guys know you can't work with 2 remodeling companies in the same town because then it's a conflict of interest issue and you don't know where to send the leads. So you need to expand to other towns, right? Like that's just common sense. So we go, perfect, ran into an issue last week. Needed to expand it to a shop over in South Florida. You guys can play with the verbiage. We book medium to bigger size remodels on the shops we work with calendar for them, but I'm not sure if this would be helpful. How many guys do you have? How big is the team? So we go strictly into like just trying to disqualify them. And this is so freaking good. I promise you, whenever we send this out, they always try to qualify themselves. Now I got all the guys like, what are you type of work you want to send over? Boom, 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 boom. Go right for the call, book the discovery, book them on a call. Drop a 1 in the chat if you guys think this is good. And you can, any niche works with this. If it's like remodeling, roofing, blah, 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 just reword the offers and stuff. So we'll drop you guys these scripts. Let's go to the next one. I know I'm going fast, but we have to get this done in like an hour. So I got to hurry up. Am I talking too fast? I'm from New York. I apologize if I am. Drop a 1 in the chat if I should slow down.
No, when before you go on, I'm getting a lot of DMs. Can you guys just DM my Facebook? Because I'm getting lost in the Zoom chat. So just DM my Facebook, please.
Cool. Appreciate you.
Go ahead, Frank.
Cool. I'm going to show the real estate one. I'll do the real estate. So this is contractors, any type of contractor, solar, whatever. It's all the same. Whatever, any type of service-based job. This script works phenomenal. Just copy it, reword it. We'll send it to you guys. I'm going to do a real estate one, and I'll do the e-com. Okay. Real estate. Very similar approach, kind of. Open up. Hey, you guys could be way off here. You guys cover blank area, right? Real estate agents usually cover a certain region. It could be way off. You guys cover Suffolk County, right? Boom. Start the conversation. They'll say, yeah, absolutely. What are you looking for? We'll say, cool. Do you do? Now we're going to try to like disqualify them a little bit because not a lot of agents do commercial. So we'll say, cool. Do you do commercial too, or just mostly residential? Almost making it like downplay the residential. They're going to come back and say, I do both or just do residential. Cool. Either way, it works. We're going to the next piece because now they're engaged in conversation with us. We go into the next piece. We go, thought so. I ran into an issue last week, needed to expand to an agent over in XYZ, again, the same area. But correct me if I'm wrong. Do you work with sellers around 400 to 700K? So now we're just throwing a price range at them. Sellers are hot right now. That price range is hot right now. They'd be stupid to say no. So they're going to say, yeah, we do. What do you have for me? Or yeah, you do. You're looking to sell, like whatever it is. We'll say, okay, perfect. Not exactly. This is where you play with the verbiage depending on their response. You don't want to copy and paste anything. Not exactly. But if we can send you over sellers that are looking to sell in Suffolk County, would that be helpful right now or not really? They'd be stupid to say no, it wouldn't be helpful. So we get them on a call. Then we'll just book the call. What time zone are you in? Like just making sure they're in the Eastern time zone, whatever it is. What time works best for a call tomorrow? Get their phone number, get their email, shoot them a calendar invite. Always confirm they got the invite. Make the call. Qualify them. Tell them a little bit about what you do. Book the sales call.
Can I say something real quick with that, Frank?
Go ahead.
Dude, if you guys haven't noticed this, not once did Frank say, okay, here's my link, book a call. Never. If you want to talk about a really high drop-off rate, oh my God, you're going to have a huge drop-off rate. Take 10 more seconds out of your day and put it on the calendar manually and just get the appointment right now.
Yeah. So as you guys can see, the theme of this is very casual. We're just making them raise their hand and say, yes, man, I'm interested in more work. Because at the end of the day, that's all you guys are trying to do, right? If you approach it the wrong way, hey, man, I can give you 30 leads in 30 days, like all this stuff, like just comes off the wrong way. And it's something that they've heard before. And they're going to associate you with a company that's burned them in the past or something that they've already tried. So you have to approach the conversation different than everybody else did if you want them to treat you differently, right? And actually buy from you. So that's like the whole idea behind this. There's nothing better than a phone call, doing it in person to person. So we just want to land the phone call. That's it. All right, cool. I'll keep going. I'm going crazy. I'm about to pass out. Next one. Next one is
yo, I'm fired up, Frank. I'm fired up, dude. Don't stop.
Cool. So this is, we have so many e-com scripts. This is the one that's just been working last couple of weeks for some of our clients. So I think I'll show it. I thought I'd show it.
I dare you to show it.
Okay, so we'll show you guys how to find the e-com stores. But let's say you find an e-com store on Instagram, right? Key life hack if you're messaging e-com stores on Instagram. It's a great place to do it, by the way, because they're all on Instagram. Always watch their story and swipe up. Put a little fire emoji and then use the first line here. So I'd always like watch their story. I'd swipe up, boom, it hits their inbox. I'm gonna say, are you guys based out of the US? Or I like this one. Do you guys ship worldwide or just US? Like just assume something. They come back and always correct you. They're like, no, we do worldwide, or no, I'm only US, whatever it is, right? Boom, conversation started. I'm gonna book this guy, promise. Next thing, after they respond to that, I'll go, gotcha. So the same approach. I love this like interesting. It piques their curiosity, so they keep responding. I go, last week I ran into an issue. We were looking to expand into the apparel industry. This is for an example of for messaging clothing stores. Are you, in the second line, are you against the conversation about a mutual opportunity? They always respond, well, it depends what it is. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, I mean, I'm open to it. What do you have? But now they're like listening, right? First step done. They're listening to what I have to say next instead of ignoring your spammy paragraph. Cool. Next one. Then I'll dive into the next line. I'll say, yep. So we work with a lot of brands, over the US, using helping them get more orders using platforms like Facebook and Instagram. I don't like saying using platforms like Facebook and Instagram, but just essentially have to say, hey, we work with brands across the US, helping them get more daily orders, right? And then second line right after that, same like before they respond, we'll say, yep. So if we could help you bring on more orders, are you guys in a position to handle that right now or not really? Just asking them a direct question, not asking them, hey, you looking to buy marketing? Like, would you guys be able to handle more orders or not really? A lot of you guys that do e-com don't even charge a retainer fee. You guys just charge a percentage of commission or whatever it is. So this is a perfect line to use. Just gets them interested in landing more orders, right? So they respond like, yeah, man, we're always looking to grow. Like, what exactly do you have? Whatever it is, it's going to become a game of objection handling. But as long as they say, yes, I'm open to growing, boom, we just got to book the call. So we go, cool. Are you perfect tomorrow for a quick chat to check out what's working well for us? So my favorite way, so two key lines I'm about to drop here that work every single time for me is if you're going to invite somebody to a sales call, I always say, do you want to check out what's working extremely well for us? That line usually resonates with them and clicks. Like, instead of saying, hey, do you want to hop on a sales call? Do you want to check out what's working extremely well for us? Resonates perfect. They'll be like, yeah, of course I do. Book the call. Another way, if they're giving you a lot of pushback and it was a hard conversation, instead of saying, are you open to a call to discuss more? Always frame it in the negative and say, would you be against the conversation around how we can get you some more orders? And whenever you frame it in the negative, they're more likely they want to say, no, I'm not against that. I guess I'm open to it. Those are two little key nuggets I don't have on these documents, but just so you guys put it in your back pocket. Cool. So then you just book the call like always. What time works best and what's best number, confirm the appointment, and boom. So we'll drop all these scripts to you guys, but really, really, really casual. And you can control the conversation because you can see where they fall off and where you lost them. And then you know what to improve on instead of just sending out messages. All right. We'll drop the discovery call framework on how to handle that. It's still not enough time to go over that. But you guys can just watch that Zoom video that's attached on here. Objection handling on what's the cost. I don't buy leads. How do I pay for this? Why should I trust you? Can you send me work first? Send me an email. Everything you'll ever need. We'll drop this to you guys too. Kevin's got you. Just too much to go over. You guys will see it though. But we have every objection you'll ever have. And then what else?
And again, in Messenger.
In Messenger.
Just say it again, in Messenger.
Okay. Boom, we're going crazy. So now drop a one in the chat if you guys want me to show you how to find the people on Facebook. And actually I'll just show you guys on Facebook because this is like, everyone knows like the regular ways, but I'm gonna show you like a secret way on how to use LinkedIn to generate the search and then use Facebook to develop a lookalike audience and then message them on Facebook after you found them on LinkedIn, because nobody's gonna be messaging them on Facebook because they don't have their account like public like that, right? So I'll show you.
Just talking crazy, Frank.
I'm not going too fast.
No, you're just talking
no,
crazy,
you're good,
bro.
but
What, Kevin? What did I do wrong?
Yo, all right, sorry. Yo, I'm just gonna add the overarching thing. So like, obviously the first couple messages, right? All we're trying to do is elicit a response. That's all we're doing. Not pitching them anything. Just all we're doing is trying to pique their interest by asking what they do and what they cover. And then just eliciting a response. And then the pitchy message, what we're doing is saying like, oh, we have all this work. We have all these leads, all these orders to send over. Can you handle these? Right? So we're disqualifying them. And then now the whole frame of the conversation changes. And for the rest of the time, all you're doing is like qualifying them, and they're qualifying themselves to you as well. So now the frame changes from like, oh, we're trying to qualify you. And now they're trying to qualify themselves to us because they want to work with us.
Yeah. Yeah, it gives us control, right? We can see how, okay, I had 20 conversations and I booked 0. I'm doing something wrong. You can see what message you lost them at. You have to change that message. That's all. It's just more like database instead of just sending out messages. All right, cool. Let's go. So just to stay congruent, I'll show you guys how to find like a contractor, like a roofer on Facebook and like a lookalike. And then I'll show you guys an e-com store because that's really rare. No one knows how to do that one. Cool. So let's just do roofing first. So first step, you don't even need like a premium account and all that stuff. We have all the automations you'd ever want. If you guys want to get involved in that, that's like in our programs and stuff. But we're just going to talk about straight organic on this. It's free. Okay, cool. So we're going to search on LinkedIn. Let's just type in roofing. So we're going to search the keyword that would be in their name, right? The title of their name. So search roofing. Now we got to filter it to the owners of the roofing companies inside the United States, because the people in the United States love to spend money. So everyone outside the United States, you guys are smart. You don't like to spend money. I don't like to spend money either. That's why I'm the COO.
I'm in the US. You know, I like to spend money. Frank tells me not to all the time.
Yeah. All right. So you got to filter it to people first, location second, United States. You can play around with this. If you guys don't work in the United States, you can do whatever. It doesn't matter. But all filters. Last thing here, for the title, I'm just going to put owner. So now I'm filtering owners of roofing companies inside the United States. Hit search. Boom, it's gonna pull like 40,000 people who fit the criteria. Boom. I'm sure you guys know about LinkedIn automations, but what we're gonna do now is just grab any of their names and we're gonna pull a lookalike audience on Facebook using some secret stuff. So you copy their name, Ryan Fred. I just put the random guy, it doesn't matter who it is, right? I'm gonna paste it on Facebook, and then you just space the keyword roofing, right? The keyword that would be in the title of their name of the company is what you need. And you hit search. And then if you filter it to people on the left-hand side, boom, it's going to pull a lookalike audience of anybody named Ryan that owns a roofing company, which is crazy. So then what you can do is just like this guy, Ryan, it's not just random, owner of roofing company in Florida. This list will go down and down, right? But then what you're going to do is hover over the name, add him as a friend, shoot him a message, first piece, hey, could be way off here, Ryan, but you cover around Oklahoma. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to send it. You guys can go message him. But yeah, then you would message them, and that's how the game starts. You can send that first message out, right? So it's cool. You find that's a look. You're pulling a lookalike. It doesn't matter. And then if you run out of people, just hit back, pull a different name, like Bobby Williams. I'm sure there's a ton of Bobbies that own roofing companies. Copy Bobby. Go paste Bobby in the search. Type in roofing. Some of the words don't work, but yeah, boom. There's a ton of Bobbies that own roofing companies. So owner of roofing, and like, I'll make sure they say owner, right? Robbie, this is Robbie, not Bobby, but same thing. Owner, add friend, message, do the thing. All right, sweet. That makes sense. Drop a one in the chat if that's kind of cool. Lookalike audience on Facebook. All right, now because I'm running out of breath, I'm gonna show ecom and then we're gonna move on. So ecom's really hard to find people because it's tough to find that keyword. But I guess, for example, so you have to go industry specific. You can't just type in ecom. So I'm just thinking, I guess I'll do jewelry, right? Like if you have a jewelry store, you're most likely online. Jewelry, apparel, skincare, all that stuff. You have to segment it that way or it's not going to work. So let's just type in like jewelry. Filter it to people. Locations, United States. And then filters will go owner. So I get the owners of the jewelry stores in the United States. This works with any e-com store. Just get the industry, right? Like skincare, whatever. Scroll down, pick a name. We'll pick Dennis. What up, Dennis? Good looking guy, right? Go to filters, search, paste.
Frank, you done this before?
Yes. Type in jewelry. Paste. People. It doesn't work all the time, by the way, but okay, this one worked. Thank God. That would have been embarrassing. So then you look for it and you see the owners of the jewelry stores and you message them. Same thing. You just go through the e-com script. So owner at Delaware Jeweler. And this great list goes on like crazy, but like you just want to find the owners at the jewelry stores and make sure they're in the US and then message them. You're not going to have all owners, but a lot of them will be owners. And that's how you do it. You can work at any in tech, anything, just keyword, do it on, find the people on LinkedIn, put them into LinkedIn, and put them into Instagram and then find them. Boom. All right, sweet. I'm out of breath, but that's it for those two things. I hope that was helpful.
Woo. All right, man. Well, we're going to get ready to go to the next thing, but how does everybody feel so far about this? Has this been pretty hot? All right. Love it. And I appreciate everyone having their cameras on and showing up the way you want people to show up for you. This is where we're all fully engaged. I promise you, you'll learn more. Perfect. Oh, got a lot of good feedback on. Frank, you're pretty good at this, huh?
I appreciate you guys. Yeah, not really, but let's go.
All right, guys. So we're going to dive into the next thing because we have about 30 minutes. So we're just going to run through this. We promised you guys it'd be a workshop format, and it's really dense, right? So if you have any questions, message Kevin so we can get you the assets you want or any questions you have answered, because we know not everybody's in just e-com and roofing, right? So message Kevin for your specific questions. Let's dive into the next thing here. Let's go back to this here, presentation. Cool. How do you use Zoom again? Okay, cool. I'm just kidding. All right, we're there. So here we go. Okay, cool. So we've already done a lot of this. So we're just going to skim through it all. We've gone through how to do the sniper Facebook method, which Frank just showed y'all. Email reactivation. We're just going to give you guys a couple of lines because Frank's right. If we do this right now on the call, it is going to be an absolute insane. It's just insaneness. There's going to have thousands more than likely of replies. We won't have time to get through most of them. So Frank, how would you want to go about doing one of these? Or do you even think it's a good idea to do this right now? Just go over it.
All right, we'll give you guys a line to use. Anybody that you've spoke with in Messenger, email, or phone number, like you guys can just send them this line, and then as we go on with the presentation, like drop in the chat if they responded and you got the appointments booked. Do you think that, Rob?
I love it.
All right. You want to do like the cash flow line, you think?
Yeah, let's do. It's just the easiest one since everyone's in agency space.
Okay, we're gonna drop you guys this line real quick. 1 sec. So it's anyone that you spoke with. They know who you are. Hey, name. So rolled something. People love brand new things. You guys probably got hit with this from us. So we rolled something brand new out yesterday. Got to give an exact. Allowing you to cash flow.
This is coming in the chat, guys. So be ready for this.
Boom. This will get people to raise their hand and say, "Sure, show me what you got," and we go crazy. And then you book them on our calendar, and we close the deals for you. I wish. Wrong. That's it. That line, Rob. If you want to just read it out, that'd be perfect.
Yep. So hey, name. So we rolled something brand new out yesterday, allowing you to cash flow positive in month 1. Do you want to check it out?
Oh, I spelled that wrong. Hold on. We got to delete that. That's embarrassing. Here in
There's no going back now.
No,
it's in there forever.
It's here in month 1.
Here in month 1. You think I'd have this memorized by now?
Yeah. So that's in the raise your hand and say, what do you have? It's just a really good line. We do it once a month, honestly. There's so many different variations of that. That's just like the most basic one we could think of. The more specific you get, the better it resonates. But for the sake of this call, since there's so many people on, that one will work fine for sure.
Perfect. Cool. We good. Hey, Frank, do you want to cover anything else?
No, Kevin said to unmute him.
No, I don't know about that.
Oh man.
Jeez.
No, but
I don't know.
Kevin muted.
Send that out
I don't know about that.
Send that out to some old leads, and then let us know how it's doing. And if you guys need help to book them on the calendar, we'll definitely help, like live, like workshop type style. Because we're running up on time here, Rob, we have like 30 minutes left. I think you can just go crazy on the sales stuff. It's so good.
Yeah, we're just gonna run quick through it. I'll just give you guys a reversal method so you can just add it to your framework. This way it's something actionable. But yeah, so if you guys are burning leads, like let's say you hop off a sales call, maybe you're new at sales and you're just like, oh man, I don't want to ruin the lead. This is how you get 2 shots at every single sales call. After the sales call, send them this message the next day. Oh shoot. Oh, can I go? Okay, send them this message the next day. Hey name, just reviewed our call yesterday with the team. Couldn't help but feel like you weren't heard. Can I share my feedback with you this week? They always say yes, and you get back on the call. Gives you a second chance for every single sales call. So if you're not doing a ton of volume yet, this is how you get another at bat. And then we always open up that next sales call with, has anything changed from our last conversation? And then whatever they say, you play on that. That's how you open up that call. But anyway, I just want to add that in there. Frank, you want to add anything else before we go to the next thing?
No, that's actually fantastic. I forgot about that line. Yeah.
Perfect. So guys, everyone send out what Frank and Kevin just put it here in the chat. Send it to your list. Frank, do you want them to do email and text blast, or which one do you want to do?
Maybe it could be Messenger. It works in Messenger too. Just send it to some old leads. It just spark backs up some conversation. Let's get them interested. Anyone who gets a good response, just put it in the chat and we can help you book it fully. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Any communication source you can at this point. We just definitely want to get some people on the calendar.
Boom, perfect. So once you guys do that and you start getting responses, just type inside the chat, got response. So this way we know that you guys got some responses. We'll come back to it. Cool. So we went over this. Perfect. We're just going to run through a lot of this for the sake of time. So before we get into the perfect sales call, real quick, Frank, let's talk, and Kevin, let's talk about reducing the no-show rate. So how are you guys reducing the no-show rate now? That gets us a 79% show rate.
All right, now I got to come back in. I'm refreshed. This is actually heat. I actually had this pulled up and I forgot. So I'm sure a lot of you guys deal with a lot of no-shows, right? So we did too, because we only used to rely on like the automation, the calendar automations, like when you put them into the calendar to remind them that like 24 hours and an hour before. but we had zero control if they were going to show up. We were spending a ton of money. Our sales reps were sitting on the phone waiting, and like we had no control of what was going to happen. So we were like, screw that. Like I need more control, just like with the messaging, right? You can control the outcome. So we put in a couple manual steps that absolutely smashed it. And they're really basic and they work like industry wide. So 2 manual steps. We send them a manual text the night before and a manual text the morning of. The manual text the night before is a call to action, so they have to respond, and it also gets them hooked and reminds them for the sales call. So we say, hey man, do me a favor, before our call tomorrow, send me a link to your website or anything I could check out before the call. This way I can come with the game plan. So subconsciously reminds them about the call. They also have to go pull their website, send it to us, and then they also are excited to see what our game plan is. So like it does like 3 things in one little simple text, and if they ghost it, we could start to be like, oh man, this guy might not show up. Right. So then we can at least control that and make calls and try to get them on a different way. And then the morning of, we just have another simple text that's manual. We say, hey man, do you have the Zoom link for the call today, or do you need me to send it over? Both of them are call to action questions they have to answer. They're not just calendar reminders saying, hey, reminder for our call that they don't have to answer. So if they ghost these, we know they might not show up, which means we're going to call them from a separate number and try to get them to answer, see if we can predict the no-show, or we're going to take them off the calendar and not waste our time. So and some examples of that for some service-based could be as simple as like, hey man, do me a favor, send me a link to your website or the radius you cover if they're a service-based industry. This way we can come with a game plan. Or hey man, do you have a link for the Zoom? Same exact thing, just to confirm that they're going to show up. And we'll drop you guys this SOP as well. But that's how we do it. Those are like the 2 simplest steps that have made all the difference for us. But yeah, Rob, is that what you want me to go over? Because that's what I was thinking.
Yep. So this way everyone knows how we send it, because automations are great, right? But at the end of the day, people know when it's an automation. So this is going to set you apart from that.
Nice.
Cool. All right, everybody ready for the next
Frank
thing?
is going crazy.
Frank's losing it, man. You get Frank started, he doesn't stop.
Yeah, and I don't eat either. I'm going to pass out.
Oh, I love it, man. All right, well, we're not done. We got 31 minutes. You guys ready for the sales piece? Awesome. Let's rock and roll. Let's get some 3s in the chat, just because you guys fire me up when I see all the numbers pop in the chat. It shows me everyone's actually paying attention. I'm lying. It's just a power move. No, I'm kidding. All right, here we go. Let's rock and roll. Oh, again, I have to pull up my other screen. Okay.
It's Rob's first time.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. How do you use Zoom again? All right, dope. Here we go. So call prep. I just want to go over a few things really fast, guys, as it relates to being ready for a sales call. Depending on how experienced you are in sales, sometimes you might hop on a sales call and feel like a little overwhelmed. Has anybody else felt that, where you're a little nervous, overwhelmed? What do I say next? Are they going to think I'm professional? I don't have a service validated yet, so I shouldn't sell it for this price. Like, does anyone ever feel that? Has anyone ever felt that? So yeah, exactly. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you mindset wise what to do before the call. It's a little call prep. Okay. So first, let me just hit view. It'll actually look easier to view. Okay. So first thing you want to do is always have your checkout page open up. Here's the thing. You don't want to get lost in the outcome. Kevin already said this at the beginning, right? Fall in love with the inputs. If you control the inputs, the output will happen as a byproduct to how well you execute the inputs. So don't focus on the output of the sale. You want to focus on the sales process, but you always have your checkout page pulled up. The last thing you want to be doing is finally get the sale, and then you're fumbling around for your checkout page, right? And then they're like, oh, you know what? Can you just send me a proposal? Can you just send me over the contract? Actually, I want to take a look at it. Oh, I want to think about it. Can I get back to you? I need to talk to this person. So there's filler language you can use, kind of like what I just did there. It's like, oh, it's my first time using Zoom. Like, oh, how's the weather go? Like, that's filler language in between while you're handling something. Now you want to try to avoid that, but if it happens, like that's how you deal with it. But always have your checkout page pulled up. Always have your sales script pulled up. So if you guys watch any of my live sales calls, it got to a point where we had this nailed down to such a science that in our group at the time, we had 10,000 people in our Facebook group. I started live streaming deals to 10,000 people of me one call closing $36,000 deals for our clients for offers I've never sold to before. And I was streaming that live and closing them in front of everyone. So it's like, it got to a point where it was that predictable, but even then I always have my sales script pulled up. It doesn't matter how good you get, we're human, right? That's one of our flaws. So open up your notepad, always take notes. I always have a notepad next to me, no matter what. Again, because you're human. So you're not going to remember every single thing on the call. You need to take notes. Open up your tracker. So we went over those, like Kevin and Frank showed you guys that, the tracker and the CRM. Always have that pulled open and update it every time something happens. Same thing with your CRM. Cool. So now let's get into unpacking the actual elements of the sales call. So these are the things, because for the sake of time, guys, we're just going to run through this, okay? Kev, you're going to say something? The suspense.
I said no, I'm good. I said I'm good.
Okay. All right, guys. So these are the 7 elements. Now, this is separate from a sales script, okay? Elements of a call. If you can nail these things inside the sales call, you will have a fluent sales call. Building out a script is completely different. So I want to go over, if you can do these things in the call, you will have a successful sales call. And then I'll show you how we position collection at the end to make it easier to sell a contract that's like 12 months. So these are the things that you want in there. Introduction. Essentially with the introduction, you just want to let people know what's going to happen next. We open up every single call. I don't even need to know the context of the call. I always open it up with what attracted you to getting on the call with us today. That's it. It doesn't matter why they're there. They will tell you why they're there. And then that's the direction you start moving. If you say things like, what are you hoping to gain? Or is it okay if we go through this and this is going to happen at the end? Or what do you believe you need? The answer is too broad, right? So we want to know the one exact thing that attracted them to being here today. If they saw an ad, what was the one thing about the ad that attracted you to be here today? If they talked to Kevin first and Kevin triaged the call or booked it through Messenger, what was the one thing about talking to Kevin that attracted you to want to be here today, right? Next is building rapport. Guys, building rapport in today's day and the way sales is done, people are too smart, man. Like, people are way too smart for the whole, like, hey, how's the weather? Oh yeah, you live there too? No way. It's like, we're not trying to walk their dog and watch their baby. All right, rapport is completely different nowadays than it used to be. So all we're trying to do is make people trust us and feel comfortable. Rapport is the same way if you're like with a significant other. There's a reason why they tell you things they wouldn't tell somebody else. They trust you more. So we have to be able to build that type of connection in the span of 45 minutes. So that's where the sales call, like, you really want to know the elements of that. 93% of that communication is going to be nonverbal. So like right now we're on a call and you guys can see me like moving around, right? In the traditional world of sales, you can be in person and leverage body language, but a lot of time on calls, we don't get that anymore, right? Sometimes your screen's not even on, which is like some people on here, turn your screen on. But if it's not on, then what do you got? Your voice, tonality and cadence, right? The height in which you say something, and cadence is the length in which you say it. That's how you can control the heart rate. We'll get into that in a sec. So here's how rapport works. Does anyone know who this is? Does anyone know who who Pauly D is? Let me just see.
That's
in the
Frank's
chat.
brother.
Yeah.
Frank.
You guys know Frank's brother?
Right. Jersey Shore.
Like, yeah, right.
You're never going back to the Jersey Shore. Go ahead.
Oh man, let's not pretend like those weren't good days, Kev. But anyway, so Pauly D, this is perfect. Okay, Pauly D is a DJ. All right, and DJs are some of the best when it comes to building rapport. So here's how a DJ works, right? They have a whole crowd in there, and their one job is to get the party popping. That's their one job, right? So everybody's just kind of standing around when people show up. So then they start playing music, and everybody starts moving around, right? And then all of a sudden, the music starts to build up. The heart rate starts increasing. And then when the beat drops, you see people start jumping up and down, right? It's because the heart rate exceeds a certain beats per minute. And then now Pauly D's music owns basically their body, their heart rate. If you guys ever heard the saying like flow with the music, let the music run through you and move with the music, that's what they're referring to. Right? So we can do the same thing inside of a sales call. If we can control the heart rate and keep it neutral, it helps us be able to get those people to make more logical based decisions. If their heart rate increases because they're scared, nervous, frustrated, angry, their heart rate starts increasing and they start making irrational decisions. So that's whenever you start losing the sale. And all of a sudden you start saying things to calm them down. You're like, no, we have a guarantee. And it's like, oh no, but we can do this. And they're just like, no, we're good. No, actually, I want to get back to you. So you see how I'm talking fast and you guys are probably listening to this and you're like, heart rate's increasing a little bit just hearing me. First, if I were to just calm it down and then we just slowed it down a little bit. So you see how it completely changes the room and the energy? That's what he's doing. So if you can control the heart rate of the buyer, you can help them make more logical decisions, and it's a lot easier for them to be able to say yes on the first call. Boom. Okay, so let's get into pain. I'm just quickly gonna run through this. Here's the thing, we all know that you have to sell on fixing their pain. Like, we all know that, but people don't buy on pain, right? They buy on the highest degree of pain. So let me give you an example. I hate that there's homeless people in the world. I hate that there's starving people in the world. Like, I hate all these things, but the majority of my resources are not going into that, right? Even though it pains me, the majority of my investments are not going into those things because it's not my greatest pain, right? So if somebody were to sell me a really high ticket product on the phone, I wouldn't buy it on the first call or in the near future because it's not my immediate highest degree pain. So you need to find the highest degree of pain. Same thing with urgency. You find the highest degree of urgency, not just urgency alone. Okay. Next is the diagnosis. So diagnosis is huge. The way this works is we're going to recap the call, but you're only focusing on the things they talked about, not everything. All right. So you want to focus on only the things they brought up. Do not inject anything else into the call. Don't talk about how smart you are. Don't talk about all the things they could be doing with their business. Like, don't talk about any of that stuff. If all somebody brought up is that they want more leads, that their leads aren't showing up, and that they want a funnel built out, and that their funnel that they had sucked, focus on that. Don't talk about anything else. A confused buyer always says no. If you inject something that they are not familiar with, guess what? They're going to have to think about it, right? So last thing is the offer. We see this happen a lot. We got 20 minutes, we should be good here. So the thing with the offer, this is how people see the offer, okay? People see the offer as, we go through all these. Usually this is a much longer presentation. So people see the offer usually as everything they can do for a client, okay? But the offer is only gonna be the deliverables that accommodate the diagnosis, okay? So let me give you an example, right? Real quick. So as an example, let's say I'm gonna go play Frisbee with the homies. Let's say Kevin and Frank are like, yo, Rob, let's go play Frisbee at the park, okay? And I'm like, yeah, dude, totally. I show up to the park. And I'm like, hey, Kevin, Frank, yo, I've got a baseball, a bowling ball, an oven mitt, and a Frisbee in the trunk. You guys ready to roll? Want me to go get them? They're going to be like, no, are you high? We're here to play Frisbee. All they need to do is go get the Frisbee. But here's the problem, right? Like, a lot of agencies are showing up to their sales calls and they're like, they're bringing the bowling ball. They're bringing the oven mitt to the actual field when all they need is a Frisbee. You only have focus on the deliverables that accommodate their problem, nothing else. It doesn't matter how much you can do. Last thing is the collection. You always got to collect over the phone, always. So even if you're selling long-term contracts, like whether you're selling service-based, coaching products, doesn't matter. Like, always collect something over the phone and then have it sold. Have them sign a contract. So I know this is super fast, but those are the elements. And in a nutshell, like, so who vibe with that? I know it's super fast. Can we get like a 1 in the chat if you vibe with like all the different elements and a small breakdown before we get into the collection phase of the call? What I'm gonna share with you guys here, if you just add this one thing I'm about to show you in a sales call, you're gonna trip your way into 5-figure contracts. And it's gonna really, really, really surprise you. I'll even role play it with you guys here in a sec. We'll find somebody to role play with. So let's just dive in. So best practices here are, we got 15, we got this. So best practices are, you need less, okay? Your offer, I already said this, your offer is not your deliverables. So check this out. People love options. They just love them, right? There's a certain level of empowerment behind having options. Let me give you an example. If I'm like, hey, Frank, dude, you wanna go to a movie, man? I was like, yo, I heard there's this killer Jackie Chan movie. It's his last movie out, right? It's supposed to be killer, man. I heard when you go see that movie that you come out thinking you can kick like Jackie Chan. It's like, but there's this other movie too. It's scary. Honestly, I heard you watch it, has you hiding under your cupboards for a week. Like, which one you want to go see? It doesn't matter what Frank chooses, because now the ball's in Frank's court, which gives him empowerment. And whatever he chooses, I still win because they're my options. You see how that works? So we're going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to give you an example. Here's how most people's offers look. And if you might resonate with this on this call right now, most people's offers are, yeah, Mr. Prospect, I do Facebook ads and I create offers and I'll do the ad copy and also directories and websites and SEO. But also, don't forget, I'm going to consult with you as well and build your funnels, and I'm going to blog for you and all this other stuff. That's most people's offers on a sales call, right? So I'm going to share with you guys where this came. Does anybody know who this person is? Right, Kev, does anyone else know who this is? You can put it in the chat. Jordan Belfort. It'd be weird if people didn't know who this was. We're on a sales training right now. But all right, so it's Jordan Belfort. Look, I don't care how you feel about the guy. Actually meeting him a couple weeks ago, he's exactly like he is in the movie in real life. So, but I don't care how you actually feel about the guy. At the end of the day, he had something here that works in any type of sale. So what he did is he sold to the bigger clients by leveraging blue chip stocks first, something that they already know. And then he went in and sold the pink sheets, which are the higher margin, right? So this is how we sell our services. You come in, sell them something they know first. And then after they start seeing a win, you come back in and sell your stuff that has higher margins and it's stickier for the client. SEO, websites, directories, listing management, all that stuff, right? So here's what the offer should look like. Hey, Mr. Prospect, I do Facebook ads. And then after they see their first win, because you should be following up with clients every week and it should be on your calendar, you go in and you upsell the next thing that will help them accelerate that result and works in conjunction with it. Offer creation, ad copy, directories, website, SEO. Cool? Does that make sense for everybody before we get into the contract? The contract stuff, we good? We got about 15 minutes, we're diving in. All right, so here's how to position it. I'll role play it with somebody here on the call, pull somebody out. But you want to position 12 months, 6 months, and 3 months. Okay, this is the easiest thing. I've been selling contracts this way since I was at the Yellow Pages. So it's been like 6 years now. This is where I came up with it. This is just an example. You can increase this dollar amount. I'm just giving you a super easy example to sell $36,000 agreements, really easy. So your 12-month agreements at $2,000 a month. And we always included ad spend. Okay, it's easier for the person to buy, right? If you say it's this plus ad spend, then their follow-up question is always, how much ad spend should I spend? And you feel uncomfortable asking for like 5,000, 10,000, or even 2,000, right? So just include enough ad spend in that initial price point to show them a result and then increase it after they see the initial result. This is getting you your foot in the door, right? So 12 months for 2,000 a month, 6 months for 2,500, and then 3 months for 3,000 a month. So this will be a $24,000 contract, right? Or you have an $18,000, is that right? Is that 24,000, then a 3 month at 9,000. Obviously, it makes more sense to do 12 months because you pay less every month. But we're working against somebody facing trouble with commitment for a long-term contract for somebody that will spend more every month, right? So here's how this works. We're going to role play this. Check this out. Let's find somebody here. So I already have this memorized. So I'm going to pull somebody. Let's do Alex. What's up? Can you hear me? Cool. You take your mic off. Let's run this. Oh, wait, you can't because
you're going to have to unmute them, mate.
Okay, I just got it. Perfect. All right, so watch how this works, guys.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Cool. So we're at the point in the sales call right now where I already know, I've already temp checked you. We know you're a 10 out of 10, and we know that you love what we have. And now you're at the point where you want to hear our pricing. That's where we're at in the sales call, in case everybody's wondering where we are. Okay. So Alex, yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to working with you as well. So we got 3 options. Okay. We have a 12 month at 30,000. We have a 6 month at 18,000, and we have a 3 month at 12,000. Which one are you leaning into?
Which one would you recommend?
That's a great question. I think you should spend 100,000.
Why 100?
Because it's more than 30. Duh. I'm a business trying to get as much money as I can. But which one are you leaning into though? Because this isn't about me.
Yeah, it's my first time investing on this, so I think I'm going to go for just the lowest one.
So when you say the lowest, are you referring to the contract amount or the duration of the contract? So like a 3 month? Oh, so the 3 month.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can definitely get rolling on that. But just out of curiosity real quick, what will be stopping you from doing the 6 or the 12?
Yeah, I don't feel very comfortable right now. My financial situation is not the best, so I don't know if I would handle the 12 months. I want to see if this works first, and then if you can get me the results that I want, I will extend the contract.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's typically what our clients say when they start with this package. So you'd rather just get started with the 3 months today then, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Cool, we can totally do that. Just real quick though, before we get the ball rolling, would you like to hear why the majority of our clients that start with this particular package prefer to pay in full?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. So basically the way it works is outside of a cool $2,000 discount that you're going to get that you could use towards like that vacation you were telling me about that you wanted to take, right, in Tulum, right? So you can use it towards that. But on top of it, we're also going to come in and build everything out for you on the first day. So this way you hit the ground running on day one and there's no holdup. So I guess like my question for you is, would you prefer to have the discount and have us build everything out on day one, or prefer to just do your normal 3-month payment structure?
Yeah, good point. I will keep with the same one that I choose. Yeah.
Cool. So you want to just stick with getting started with the 3-month today?
Yeah.
Cool. We can do that. Which card do you want to use to get started?
Visa.
Cool. So you guys can see what we did there is we give people options, and not once did I have to say, want to get started today? Which one do you want? This is your one option. When you only give people one option, the only options they have to say is yes and no. But if you give people 3 options, their only option is like yes, yes, or yes. But you don't stop there. If somebody picks a 3-month or a 6-month, challenge them to buy the higher agreement. Because a lot of the time they'll say what Alex said there, and then we're going to come back with doing the 12-month, give them a reason. Cool. Oh, perfect. Thank you. That's a good call. I think I was spotlighted there. Cool. Does this make sense for everybody? I have to mute this because of my echo. Does that make sense for everybody? This is how you can, I know it's my picture on here, I guess. But anyway, this is how you're able to sell long-term high-ticket contracts and incentivize a pay in full, and you get people to sell themselves. This whole script that I built out here was from my experience in the business to consumer space, the door-to-door space, and the retail space. Something that I did there at the end where you guys heard me keep saying like, do you want to do this or just get started with this today? And Alice kept saying, I'd rather just get started with that today. You see how that worked? This is a retail thing. When you notice you jump up to the front of the counter and they have like, if you're GNC, they give you those gummies. They're like, hey, do you want these things too? Or you're at a shoe store and they ask you if they want socks. That's something in retail called OMS, one more sale. So what we're doing here is trying to get people to resell themselves on this. Now, if Alice, the only thing I didn't add here that I normally would have, if Alice was like saying, no, I don't want to get started, she gave me more friction. And she's like, actually, I just kind of want to think about it, but I like the 3-month. If she would have gave me pushback and didn't give me her credit card, I would have said, that's no problem. Would you like to hear what most people like to do that don't pay in full in the 3-month and kind of want to wait? And she would have said, yeah, sure. What is that? Most people that do the 3-month agreement, they want to make sure the real deal. We're the real deal. Do you find yourself in a similar position? Alice would have said, yeah, I just want to make sure I've been burned in the past and this and that. I would have said, exactly. So what most people like to do is they try us out for 30 days. And once they realize we're the real deal, they want to move over to a 12-month agreement and just pay us less every month. Sound fair enough? This is referred to as downselling the upsell. Does that make sense? Because once you get someone on a 12-month agreement, especially in the service-based space, they're already committed to you, and it's okay if they pay you less because now you're getting a longer contract duration and they're more receptive to upsells. because remember, you're meeting with them every month. So this is how you're able to get that commitment and increase the value of the contract, and also lower the barrier of entry on the sale. So cool, guys, that's all we got for you today. Let's see here.
I'll just spotlight you again, man. For some reason, like it keeps flicking between photo and you. So.
It's because of my my mic.
It's cool.
Yeah, sorry guys. Yeah, it's echoey. But anyway, Frank, Kev, you guys got anything else for us, man? Was that helpful? Did you guys like the sales piece?
That was really good.
Yeah, that was really good.
It's like, just to jump in, what I'm conscious of with everyone is like you've gone through so many amazingly valuable things for everyone today, and it's not lovely to have this completely different perspective. I'm sure everyone's really enjoyed it. It'd be lovely to get you guys back on at another time, so we could go maybe more into a little bit of appointment setting stuff, because I'm sure these guys will be gagging for that at some point. So we can probably set that up at some point in the future. Guys, if you want that, can you smash a 1 in the chat? And if these guys have got the time to do so, only if, then we'll see if we can arrange that and let's make sure that, okay, cool. That's some pretty quick, right. That's some pretty quick messages. Okay, cool. Well, we'll talk about that behind the scenes and see if that's something we can do at some point.
Cool. Rock and roll, man. Yeah, we appreciate you having us. And, you know, if you guys have any questions, message Kevin. Kevin, you want to put your Facebook link in there? Just message Kevin on Facebook here, guys. If you're watching this anywhere and it's put up anywhere, we'll have links around this where you can, you know, come find us. But yeah, message Kevin, so this way you guys can get the assets you need that you saw on this. And we didn't have anything to pitch, like we said. So this is just kind of like us here dropping the heat for you guys, because we know Jordan.
Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed that training. That was quite something, right? If you enjoyed it, then make sure you check out Rob and his team. I'll put some links in the description where you can reach out to them. You can follow their journey and ask any questions that you may have. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel with your notification bell on so you get notified every time we bring out new videos. Have a good one. Cheers.